What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today I've got some more NBA news to, of course, be talking about with you guys. According to Jake Fisher of Bleacher Report, the Cleveland Cavaliers are actually interested in potentially trading for Dennis Schroder. Now, again, as a massive Cavs fan, I thought I just kind of had to make this video, just to, talk about it and shed some light on my thoughts and opinions on this whole entire kind of Dennis Schroder Cavaliers news. And I'm going to start off with, I think, the obvious, I'm just going to go my thoughts and opinions. I know I definitely will be talking about trade scenarios and this and that, but again, my thoughts and opinions, it doesn't have to mean you guys agree with this, but I personally don't think the Cleveland Cavaliers should trade for Dennis Schroder at all. I don't really think it makes a whole lot of sense, considering the Cleveland Cavaliers recently just brought in Rajon Rondo to the team for basically a packet of chips and a Coke at this point. I think it was a really, really good idea, for this to happen, because Rondo is a really, really great veteran who can kind of fill in Ricky Rubio's spot. For those of you who didn't know, Ricky Rubio did his ACL and is out for the year. Basically, I think Rondo will come in and add a lot of that veteran experience and lead the Cavaliers on the bench. And I think Rubio, I'm sure, will still be allowed to go and sit on the bench and help out too. But again, just that extra experience to come and help out. Not just that, if the Cavaliers are struggling defensively and need a defensive point guard to come in, then you've got a dude like Rajon Rondo who can, kind of be there and just help out with the defense. And even play make, you can do that too. But the other reason why I don't think the Cavaliers should actually go out and get Dennis Schroder now is we're flooded with point guards now. You got Darius Garland, who is one of the most elite point guards in the game now. He will be an all-star this season. I hope so. I'd be very disappointed if he wasn't an all-star this season. But the other thing the Cavaliers do have as well is actually a really good young point guard who they've brought in on a two-way deal that has been really nice for them recently, in Brandon Goodwin, who has played 7 games for them, averaging 6 points and 3.5 assists, and his three-point percentage has gotten a little better, shooting about 31%, but it is a really interesting thing there. When it comes to, his game, he's only averaging 16.5, minutes per game, so those points and assists and all that are really, really decent. Plus, again, if the Cleveland Cavaliers were to bring in a dude like Dennis Schroder, I don't see him really playing more than 20 minutes per game, because they, have Darius Garland on the team kind of doing his thing, scoring and, just being that dude that's going to play the 35 minutes per game. Then there's only going to be that, 13 minutes at point guard or so to play behind him, and that's where it's going to go to Brandon Goodwin or, potentially Rajon Rondo. Now, of course, you can play Dennis Schroder at the 2, but I just don't feel like Schroder's going to get more than 20 minutes per night on this team, and that's not who Schroder is. Schroder's a dude that needs to average around 30 minutes per night off the bench, in my opinion, as a dude that can play the point and shooting guard, just be a high pressure scorer off the bench. It's not going to happen on Cleveland. Not just that, if he gets to 18 to 20 minutes per game, which is what I think he will get, I have a feeling Dennis Schroder would absolutely hate that role and would almost become quite toxic, because who can blame him? He doesn't want to play that amount. He wants to go play on a team where he feels important and, actually has value. And I don't know if that's necessarily on the Celtics. In my opinion, I actually wouldn't even think it'd be a bad idea for him to actually return to Oklahoma. He was so good on Oklahoma, and they desperately, I think, need a they have no bench really whatsoever. And I think bringing in a backup point guard like him, who averaged 18 per game on their team once upon a time, would make a lot of sense, because I feel like they just can't keep being bad every year, and they've been rebuilding for at least I think 3 seasons now. Again, you eventually just got to say, well, we got to sign some players, and I think Dennis Schroder would actually be really nice for them, because he can play on the court with Josh Giddey and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander at the same time. SGA can go and guard that small forward position, Giddey can do the 2, and Schroder can do the 1. It'd be a pretty similar team to their old team, just except with Chris Paul, you'd have Josh Giddey now. So that's what I think. I think he needs to go to a team where he has value and can get a long-term contract, and where he can play the game that he knows he can play. And he needs to be coming off the bench. He needs to be the 6th man. I think that would be the perfect team for that to happen. On the Cavaliers, it just wouldn't make any sense. 20 minutes per game or so, if he's lucky to get that. And I don't necessarily know if he would get to isolate and stuff as much as he wants to. because the Cavaliers just don't play that game style. They play a very team-oriented game style where there's a lot of passing and a lot of ball movement. That's not going to happen. And this is another issue with Colin Sexton. The reason why I think Sexton will get traded maybe eventually is he likes to isolate a lot too, and especially the way the Cavaliers have been playing with a lot of ball movement, a lot of passing, a lot of spacing. I don't know if Sexton works in that as well because he's a very big isolator of the ball. So these players who like to isolate the ball usually tend to be six-man. I think Sexton's too good to be a six-man, but I also think he needs to be starting at a point guard position on a team where he can isolate and have another player in that starting lineup to maybe play make with him. Again, so many teams out there will have a dude like this. We've seen he needs to go and partner up with a dude like Ben Simmons, LeBron, etc. Those guys who don't guard the point guard but can play make, so then he can guard the point guard and doesn't have to play make, if you guys know what I mean. Dennis Schroder, it doesn't work on the Cavaliers. The Cavs could probably get him for cheap. I saw a mock trade that was Dean Wade and Kevin Pangos. Like, I'm sure it wouldn't be that cheap, but yeah, I definitely feel like you could get him for a couple second round picks and a salary match, because I don't think the Celtics really want him anymore. I don't think the Celtics need him too much. They need to be given their minutes to, like, you know, Peyton Pritchard and stuff like that, because they're much younger, fit the timeline more than what I think Schroder does. Not just that, I thought it was a weird move by the Celtics to sign Schroder in the first place. I think getting Schroder in made no sense because, like, they traded away Kemba Walker, or, you know, they traded him away just to get rid of his $35 million contract or whatever. So they could go out and actually sign a playmaker and a potentially a defensive playmaker who could play off ball. Maybe like Alonzo or a Malcolm Brogdon dude, someone like that. But instead they brought in another scorer, which was very similar to Kemba, that couldn't really play make too much and loved the ball in his hands. Begging the question of, what were the Celtics even thinking by trading away Kemba Walker? They had to give up a top 17 pick, and all they got back in was like Al Horford, really. And I think Moses Brown, who they end up flipping anyway. One of the most bizarre picks one of the most bizarre trades I think I've seen in a while. They could have just kept Kemba Walker at that point, because there would have been legitimately no point doing that trade just to get Dennis Schroder on the team. Which, look, it was really weird. It's just a stupid trade. I don't know why they did it. I think Celtics don't know why they did it. And I think Celtics are annoyed about this now because they're looking to trade Dennis Schroder anyway. So it becomes a very confusing type of thing. But yeah, it's a weird one. I don't think the Cavaliers should get him. What would the trade most likely be like? I think spot on probably with like two role players like Pangos and Dean Wade, who I don't know if they would add too much value to the Celtics, but it's just salary matching at this point. And then of course the other one would be the 2 second-round picks. I've seen some Celtics fans, some NBA fans say you can get a protected first-round pick out of Schroder. Trust me, his value is really, really low at the moment. Best you can get is a couple seconds and, you know, salary matching. Not just that, he's an expiring contract. He's probably not going to come back to the Celtics. Even more why they want to trade him, so they can at least get something out of him now before he leaves for nothing. So yeah, it's going to be really, really interesting to see how this, of course, all goes. Definitely don't forget to comment your thoughts and opinions on this down below. Do you guys think the Boston Celtics should, of course, go out and get a guy like the Cavaliers should go out and get a guy like Devin Schroder, rather? Do you guys think the Celtics should look at a dude like Kevin Pangos or Dean Wade, and maybe those couple second-round picks? Or should they look to try and trade him to someone else? Definitely let me know down below. Do you guys think Schroder should do what I think and return to the Oklahoma City Thunder, where he can play back a point and play with all these, you know, players like, you know, Shea and Josh Giddey, at least try and somewhat form a bench over there? Of course, definitely let me know your thoughts and opinions on this down below. But of course, you know, don't forget to subscribe to my gaming channel, my IRL/long channel, my podcast channel. All of them will be linked in the description down below. But as I was saying, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and comment, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.